What's up, heroes? Good morning. Good morning. Last week we talked about time management, how to better manage your time, how to be more efficient with your time. And it all starts with having a plan. And we use our zero calendar to come up with our plan, having an intentional plan for your day so that you can better organize and focus your time and energy. Now, you ever have these times where inevitably your plan gets thrown off? Like you set out with this beautifully organized plan of what you want to get done, then bam, the world and the universe has a different plan for you. You get a call from someone, or, family member needs you, or your boss steps in, or you get an email that throws off your day, and you wanted to get all this stuff done, but inevitably something happens or something comes up where you get pulled into a different direction. Does that ever happen to you? Now, as frustrating as that can be, that always will happen. And so this week we're going to talk about, ways that, we talked about how to organize and create the plan. Now, how do you stick to the plan? How do you protect yourself, your time, and your attention so that you can actually follow through and carry out the things that you want to carry out and need to carry out every day? And so this week we're going to enter into what I call the Deep Work Challenge. Now, what is deep work? Deep work is a block of time where they call it getting into the zone. And studies show that it takes actually 60 to 90 minutes of dedicated time working on a particular project or a task to get into the zone. You ever been into the zone, or what they call a flow state? The flow state is where everything is firing. You're completely dialed in. You kind of lose concept of time. Your words are articulating, your thoughts are flowing, you are in the zone. They use the word the zone, but it's a sports term. And they say athletes, the way they can perform at such an exceptional level and do that thing is because there's a zone that you get into. And not only does it apply in athletics, it applies to everything you do. Everything you do, you can get into that high octane zone where you're just operating at full capacity on that particular task. And the thing is, it takes amount of time to get into that zone. But that's the zone that we need to get in to really produce really good, high quality work. For you to produce your superpower, the thing we call your highest value activities, you really need to get into a zone, get into a flow state to really produce at a high level. So that's what deep work. Deep work is just dedicated time for you to get into the zone, get into that flow state where you can really, really produce at a high level for whatever that task is that you're doing. Now, what prevents us from getting into the zone is distractions. Now, let me show you why distractions are so disruptive, and we may not even realize how disruptive they are. But if you look at this curve, let's say the curve is like our flow level, and it takes, if you're a period of time, you don't just immediately start working on something and you're immediately in the zone. It's a ramp up period. You have to ramp up. I'm sure you realize that, you got to get into the groove, get into the rhythm, right? When you're working on something, it takes a while before you actually start running full speed on that task. Now, let's just say this is the zone, and it takes a while. Like I said, the studies show that you need at least 60 to 90 minutes of working on something to really, really dive into it. Now, here's what happens typically. Let's just say we get a distraction. And what our misconception is that, so what? We get a distraction, we get a text message, we check social media, is that as soon as that distraction is over, we immediately start back on our path of getting into the zone. But it's actually not the way it works. So let's say we're working on something, and we get that distraction that comes in. Instead of immediately, as soon as that distraction is over, we get back to this task. Instead of continuing that momentum, our momentum is actually broken, and we start back, maybe not from zero, but we don't start back on that same path. So our momentum stops and dips a bit before we start. And by the time we get back to that task, we have to like rebuild momentum all over again. Then all of a sudden another distraction comes. Our coworker walks in, and now we have a 15-minute conversation, and now our momentum is disrupted again. And now we're starting to build back up, trying to get back momentum on this task again. Then all of a sudden, boom, our brain wants to check Instagram. So now we go check Instagram for 5 minutes. And now, so as you can see, we never fully, all these constant interruptions, constant distractions, constant attention being pulled in all these different directions, we never get into the zone or get into a flow. In essence, we never get to a point where we're really, really on a high octane level, pumping out really, really good, high quality work. And so what are the two big points of distraction that pulls our attention throughout the day? And there's two big things. One, other people, family, your boss or coworkers, life. Let's just call it life. Life inevitably happens, and your attention gets pulled. You're needed in other directions. Other people are a big source of distraction, but then there's another big source of distraction. That's ourselves. That's actually, we don't need other people. Like, we can distract ourselves just fine on our own. I mean, how often are you sitting at a stoplight and the first thing you want to do is grab your phone, or you're standing in an elevator or standing in line at the grocery store? First thing you want to do is grab your phone, grab a magazine, grab something. Our brains are constantly yearning for distractions. So other people distract us fine, but actually we are our biggest distraction. They say the human brain seeks some sort of distraction every 8 seconds. Our attention span is the same as a goldfish now. Every 8 seconds, our brain needs some sort of distraction or some sort of stimulation. We've effectively given ourselves ADD. Now, how do you protect your time and attention from both other people and from yourself? And like I said, they call it the dedicated time to get in the zone, a block of time to do deep work. And it needs to be blocked out on your calendar, at least 60 to 90 minutes of time where you can be undistracted, uninterruptible. I don't even know if that's a word, but uninterruptible, isolated, where you can really, really focus in on what your true high value activity is, and whatever that is for you. I don't know if you're in sales or prospecting, or if you're a service provider, it's providing that service or support. Whatever your high value activity is, you need a block of time on your calendar where you're inaccessible to the outside world, you're isolated, and you can really dive in and do some really high quality deep work. Now, for me, I call that time grind time. And if you look back on one of my examples from my zero calendar, you'll see every day there's a dedicated space on my calendar called grind time. And that time of day is where I have a commitment to myself, where I'm going to be, I put my phone on airplane mode. I go into a room where we lock the door where no one can distract me. Family can't reach me. I'm inaccessible to the outside world. And that's where I produce. That's where I put my cape on, and I get my true superpowers, because I can dive in and focus, and I can really, really produce at a high quality level. Now, the beauty is it's only 60 to 90 minutes. So the rest of the day, I'm still accessible. I'm still servicing others. I'm still available. But there is a time of day where I have to be available to me, where I have to really zero in and focus and produce and do the thing that I need to do that's going to have the biggest impact towards me producing the goal that I'm trying to produce. And so that's going to require a commitment of me being inaccessible and blocking out my time and staying true to that time. And so again, I call it grind time. You can call it grind time. You can call it whatever you want. Come up with some cool name for yourself. But this week, my challenge for you is to find a 60 to 90 minute block of time on your calendar where you could produce at a high level, where you can get in the flow, where you can get in the zone, where you can do your grind and produce high quality work. All right, that's your challenge for this week. Find your grind time and produce at a high level. See you guys.